Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show. And with me today, of course, we got our usual co-host, Brian, aka Mantlebeard. What's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm sleepy.
Sleepy? What are you sleepy for? What's going on? Working overtime or what?
Yeah, just a lot of work stuff. It's just
Yeah.
strenuous and draining of the brain, and not to mention the fact that the wife and I pulled a late night Windrose session.
Hmm.
So we were playing that, and
Nice.
yeah, we're not
Playing.
we're not the best at it. Let's just say
There's a learning curve.
there's a boss fight that we're stuck
Hmm.
on that between the two of us. Let's just say we're not improving.
Oh no.
You would think that we would learn, but
Yeah. Well, it looks like
we can learn.
we already got a couple people popping in. Popped in early here. We got Alpha Red, aka James from last week. What's up, James? Thanks for popping in, bro.
Hey, James.
Says here for the knowledge and laughs. Let's go. And we got Jerry. What's up, Jerry? How you doing, boss?
Jerry's
Thanks
back.
thanks for popping in, man. It's nice to have some concurrent viewerships. It's great. So thank you guys for popping in. Some of you may notice. I don't know if anybody's watching over there yet, but we are live on the tubes, and we are on Kick as well this week.
Wow.
We were doing Twitch stream on top of YouTube, but now we're switching over to Kick. We're gonna see how that goes. We'll see if we can get some viewership there. But
All right.
yeah, it's all about having a good time. But man, I am with you. I am also very exhausted. It has been a really long day, so I stayed up. You know how you get into a groove when you're doing something and then you like completely lose track of time.
Yeah.
Well, that happened to me last night. Yeah, that happened to me last night, and I was up until 3:30 in the morning working on my wife's website.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm rebuilding it from scratch. She came up with some assets that she wanted me to use, and blah blah blah. And I'm creating it from scratch because we got something weird happened to the website, and I'm not quite sure what exactly happened. But basically, we weren't able to access it whatsoever. Something to do with a changeover from Cloudflare. It's a bunch of IT mumbo jumbo that no one's going to care about. But yeah, basically something went wrong. Something was wrong with the DNS, and even after resetting it, it couldn't get it to work. So I'm just like, you know what? We wanted to redo this anyways. Let's get it done. And so I was just in the zone last night, and I got it about 40% done. We got quite a bit of more work to do because I had to rebuild the website, which like from scratch. So I had to reload all the inventory. Now I got to redo
Yeah.
the categories and all the images and stuff. And of course, we're rebranding, so it's a whole thing, whole rigmarole. And then I have a couple other clients I have to get to as well. So it was a long night. Plus, I was doing some inking on some work. And yeah, it was a long night. So I am with you, man. I am also very, very wiped out. But I am, and then of course I had my son's baseball game today, which was mentally exhausting because getting a 7-year-old to do things sometimes is very difficult.
Do you
So
have to get up with them at like the crack of dawn also, or does your wife step in? Or?
no, so thank God. Yeah, my wife is a godsend in
Okay.
that she does it 80%
Teamwork.
of the time. Yeah, she does it 80% of the time. And then like when she's like, "Honey, I'm just exhausted. Can you get him on the bus in the morning?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got you." As long as I don't have to work, obviously. I'm like, "Oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow."
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's yeah. We try to do our best. We got some teamwork. So, but yeah, it was good, and it's been a long day, but I'm glad to be here. We got our guest coming in soon. We have Kevin Kobasic. I believe I'm saying that right, Kevin. If you pop on, if you're hanging out, you can yell at me if I said it wrong. Oh, and speak of the devil, here he
That's it.
is.
Just have to say his name.
Yeah, that was like it's like
Not even three
Beetlejuice.
times.
Good.
Kevin, what's up, man? How you doing?
It's good. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Late to my
Oh
own
no,
funeral,
no, you're good, dude. Yeah, no,
but
there's absolutely no worries. We're just doing intros. We got a couple people in the chat. We're just kind of talking about our day. How have you been today, boss?
Fine. That's just tell. I got. I'm doing Philly Fan Expo this weekend, so I'm racing around to try to get everything prepped for that.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
Have you done Philly before?
no, never done Philly.
No.
Only the second time I've done a Fan Expo.
Oh, okay.
Denny's doing it too. Though we
Oh,
always.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys almost travel in pairs.
Yeah. I don't know. We kind of always end up being a pair. We get like accepted to the same shows. It's like magical.
Yeah, I gotta send him an email or at some point get him on the show as well.
You definitely do. You
Yeah,
don't expect to talk much. Don't expect to get any of your own thoughts or opinions.
yes, he's a chatter. He's definitely a chatter. So it'll be good. It'll be a good show.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, dude. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got a lot going on in between shows and everything else, getting work and all that stuff. So we're really excited to have you on the show because at least to me, you're kind of a big deal. So yeah, this is exciting. This is like our one of our biggest guests. We just kind of elevate every time. Not to say that our previous guests weren't big. I'm not saying that either.
They were garbage.
Oh God.
No, honestly, I listened to your most recent episode, and like it was so good and informative. Like I don't think I can live up to it, but we'll do what we can.
Oh, dude, I think you'll have more to share than you think you'll realize, honestly, because I find everybody has their own thing to bring to the show, a new piece of advice, and obviously not everything's going to work for everybody, so everything's different, but it's a growing field, and it's all about elevating yourself into the next stage of whatever's next for you and whatever. So and that's kind of the point of the show, is just to kind of get a broad sense of perspectives, obviously hang out, chat, do some art stuff. If people tune in and want to draw along or whatever, then fantastic. That's what we're here for, right? We're just it's kind of more just like to have a good time. That's
Right on. Right on.
So Kevin, so, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself for the people that are watching?
Sure. I'm a longtime illustrator. I got my start at Marvel in the early '90s, so I was around there for that whole for the whole boom and bust kind of. I excuse me. I started my career as an intern at Marvel, and then I ended up being the assistant editor on the Punisher books for a couple of years. And then I got I started getting some penciling work here and there, and I instantly got like way too big of a head about it, and I eventually left staff to draw full time, which was a huge mistake. Every time I go back through my career, it's just like oh, that was a bad move. So yeah, because the bottom was just ready to fall out of the market, and I maybe was just starting to create a toehold for myself, but my chops really weren't there. I kind of found quickly that I was kind of getting fill-in work because I was in the office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there weren't a lot of what is this? This is Christian permission. I don't know. All right, I fully understand. Sorry, I'm
did something pop up? That's my fault.
Yeah.
I hit a button. My bad.
So anyway, yeah. I'm sorry. We can get into this later, but I'll just give you the broad strokes. So anyway, I started off as assistant editor at Marvel. I was a comic penciler with Marvel for a few years. Did a few years at Valiant, and then I jumped into the animation business. I started out as a character designer working on Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Awesome.
Design characters for a few little shows here and there. My most recent long-term gig was I did 10 years on a preschool animated show called Blazing the Monster Machines. I was the lead storyboard artist on that. And
That's cool.
Then what else? And then on the side, like for 20 years or so, I've done advertising storyboards, and just basically doing just drawing for anybody who'll have me. Lately, I do a lot of. I'm doing more and more cons. I've started working as a caricature artist at fairs and stuff like that. That's a That's kind of the broad.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, you've been all around, and like we've talked about it before on a couple other shows, like kind of figuring out how to market yourself in different ways, and like to think of it like, hey, you know, I went from being a comic artist to now I'm doing commercials and animation storyboards and stuff like that. And I mean, and it's all in the same exact same frame of like doing art. It's just, you know, a different field, which is kind of really cool. So it's kind of like, and that's so that's why I named this week's episode talking about storyboards and how far you can go with it and all this other stuff. And of course it falls almost in perfect timing because I just started doing some storyboarding for a project for somebody, and you know, it'll be great. I get to get your insight, and we get to obviously talk about it and all this other stuff. So yeah, we're really looking forward to having you on the show. So before we pop in, before we start, I wanted to show everybody, for those of you who haven't seen it, I've had a couple people be like, I don't know what that is. Courage the Cowardly Dog, huge show, right? Like it's got like a cult following nowadays. We're gonna quickly play the intro for it real quick. Ready? I'm gonna switch it over. Hold on, let me switch it over. Oop, I hit the wrong button. My bad. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go.
We interrupt this.
Hold on. I got it muted.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage the Cowardly Dog. Abandoned
And
as a pup, he was found by Muriel, who lives in the middle of nowhere with her husband used as bang. But creepy stuff happens in nowhere. It's up to Courage to save his new home. Stupid dog! You made me look bad.
Oh God, this show is.
Interrupt this program to bring you.
I didn't realize I put it on a loop, but that show was great.
Were you a kid when that show was on the air?
Let's see, how old was I? I was probably middle school age, I think, ish.
Okay.
Yeah, about middle school. Yeah. Favorite show to watch.
You're one of the many people who's we ruined.
Yes, it's your fault. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was
Well, I'm doing a podcast, cartooning.
Yes, no. So how long did you work on Courage? I guess we'll start on that since we segued from that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to start there because like that's I never really thought like of all the stuff I worked on, like that was going to end up being like the thing that you know more people like light up when they hear.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was on that. How long? Jeez, I was off and on a little bit. I started somewhere in the middle of the first season. I was out for a little bit of the second season, and then came back, and then I was all the way through 3 and 4. And
Nice. That's awesome. So what was that like, transitioning from like doing comic stuff and anything else you had been doing in between to doing animation cells and stuff like that? How did that work?
Yeah, that was interesting. Honestly, it's such a weird thing. Like sometimes people ask me like, how do you get into the animation business? And I'm like, I got in through like accident. Honestly, like I fell backwards into it. It was really interesting switching to it from comics because there was this whole new skill set that I had to quickly learn. But I'll just say I'm trying to give you like a historical background for the time because at the time there's a real boom in animation, obviously, that I think had been kind of kicked off by Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob. And so there was just a ton of productions, you know, like New York has always in animation has always been kind of the little brother of LA, you know, but like there were a good number of productions going on at the time. You know, Cartoon Network was doing stuff, Nickelodeon was doing stuff, MTV had their own, their whole own, own studio that they opened up in Times Square. So there was a lot of, like all of a sudden there was all this production going on and there just wasn't enough talent in New York to fill it. So they were kind of, looking everywhere, and they had a need for a character designer on that show. And I just happened to, I was working at doing graphics at an investment bank at the time, and a friend of mine there knew the design supervisor on Courage, and he had heard that like they were just desperate for people, and so he put me in touch, and they gave me a test. I had no idea what I was doing. Well, not entirely. I worked a little on. I don't know if you remember a show called Doug. I started out doing some picture books for them.
That's awesome.
God, I feel like I'm already making this story way too long. Like,
No, yeah.
like a Grandpa Simpson thing. So I tied an onion to my belt. And
no, dude, this is great. This is. I mean, this is great.
Content.
This is all great stuff. Yeah, go for it.
So
make as long as you need to.
All right, okay, all right, I'll try. So anyway, basically they what they do is they give you a test. They gave me a script, which in this case was the King Ramses episode, which had already been made, but they just wanted to see like my take on these characters. So I had to that's the Return the Slab episode. So
Return
I had to
the Slab.
that's what everybody remembers. So I had to do my take on like some of the characters in that, and props and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know this show. So they gave me somebody they showed me the Bible, like the design Bible. At the time, that was all on paper. This was like we were barely even using the internet at this point, and so I just, not knowing what else to do, I just sat there in the office and like broke out of their copier and just copied the whole design Bible and like went home and like studied my brains out. So what I came back with, they kind of liked, it wasn't really the style of the show, but it showed that I had promise. So they just said, all right, we'll give you 2 weeks. If you can kind of figure this out in 2 weeks, then you can stay. And the first thing they gave me was that eggplant episode. And
Nice.
As soon as I came up with that idea for like what the eggplants were going to look like, they were like, all right, you're in.
You're in, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was weird, but like I said, it was just a weird time in the business.
Killer.
So that was after the Deathlock stuff, right? So that was
Yeah, exactly. Deathlock was like the last thing I did at Marvel. Like I kind of right when I left staff, they offered me that book, and so I had that for a little less than a year, and then it got canceled. So yeah, and then I was like just doing fill-in stuff from after that.
All right, so let's see. Let me add this. Let me show you guys. So for those of you who have not seen it, let me see if I can pull this up bigger. This is the eggplant episode. There's the eggplants. This is actually Kevin's work. He sells it as a print when you see him at shows. So check him out. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So what was your favorite episode? Do you have a favorite episode you worked on?
Oh God! Wow. Yes. No. I know. No. Do you remember the one? There's one about a giant foot and the toes are like little gangsters, and the big toe is like Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you see? Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
That
Honestly,
one.
there were a lot of episodes of that show that like you couldn't really get what the humor was going to be from the scripts. We never really knew what the show was going to turn out to be like. That one was dying from the moment like we read it. And then especially when like the voice acting came back, and like, hey, see, the old lady's got to get rubbed out. See, like we would just, that was the one everybody in the office was just on the floor laughing at the whole way through production. So yeah, that's my favorite.
That had to have been a blast, man. and like the humor and the level of humor and like the level of like kind of horror that was there, like was just perfect. There was just like a perfect balance. Like they really, really, really need to bring that like back as something because Courage is.
My friend.
Courage was so huge, man. Yeah, I think the one episode I remember off the top of my head, and it was so like lowbrow, but it creeped me out, was the one where it was the cousin that came to town, and he wanted to cut Courage's hair or something. I can't remember all the details, but it was so weird and like creepy pasta that it freaked me out. But yeah, all I did was cut all of Courage's fur off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Oh, there's so many episodes, and then like the alien, what are the alien chickens or whatever the heck they were. Right.
That one
was
was
funny.
Space. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the cat the cat that was
right.
the thief cat,
Yeah.
and he was, I don't know, scientist or whatever the heck. He was in a couple episodes, and then I think he met his end at some point. Didn't he? I feel
don't
like
remember.
I feel like he did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been so long since I've seen it all, but man, it's such a classic show. So like, so I mean, that's so cool, dude. Like, and then like, so what was your time? What was your time working at like Marvel? How did that go in the '90s? You said like that was right before the boom clash happened, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
like
just
that-
kind of, did it feel like it was just really bad timing, or was it?
I mean, it
was
was
it fulfilling?
for a little while. It was great. Like,
Yeah.
all the editors had expense accounts. You know, like we were eating and drinking on the company every other day. It
We were
was
spending
amazing.
that dough.
Yeah. No, it was literally. I got there. Yeah, I got there at a crazy time. Like just when the whole X-Men like universe was about to pop off. Like when I worked in I worked for another named Don Daly, who was the Punisher editor, and we were next door to Bob Harris's office just as he was starting to pull that whole thing together. You know, with like that he kind of made a super group of the X-Men office. You know, he was pulling in Jim Lee, and he was pulling in Will Spataccio and all those people, and Liefeld, and so yeah, I was like, standing right there as that whole thing started to happen, and then Marvel was just in this amazing boom for a little while, and then just as I was leaving was when it started to fall off, and then I always joke that like I got myself fired at Marvel before it became fashionable, because like I say I left, but they kind of eased me out the door, because I really just didn't have it in me to like be an editor. It was I just wanted so badly to be an artist, and I thought I figured I could make it work. But yeah, like a little after I left, suddenly everybody was getting laid off. It was just this horrendous time. It was just suddenly this bloodbath, because there'd been this whole speculator bubble where like people were just buying comics by the truckload because they thought they were gonna get rich. Like it took a few years for people to figure out that was bullshit. Yeah, that was why we were putting out all those like foil stamp covers at the time. Like just anything that somebody might think is a collector's item, we would do. I was working on this book called Sleepwalker, and like we did like a big blazing 25th issue, like because that was somehow an anniversary issue. We figured, all right, it's 25 issues, that's enough to do like an anniversary.
Make it a big deal. Why not? Yeah.
It was just like they just encouraged you to be shameless,
Yeah.
It's just like slap foil and a die cut on like anything you could.
Whatever you can do to get it to sell, right?
Yes.
That was it. Get people to buy a bunch.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Things started feeling really gimmicky right around that time.
God,
it was like
it was so
just
bad. I mean, like the
felt
comic fan in me was kind of horrified. Like, this is so bad, because like it just, and all that was at the time when like all the artists just started doing pinup pages, because they started to realize that that was what they could charge more money for, selling the original. So like the storytelling just went out the window. Every page was just like a giant figure, and then like a couple tiny little panels actually telling the story.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was taught in some of the classes I took is like, if you're gonna do a page, an interior page, make it as interesting as possible. Even if it's a boring page, make it as interesting as possible, because that you're gonna want to sell that later down the line, right? Like so, it's like, I mean, and that makes sense. I mean, people aren't gonna buy a bunch of heads talking, like unless it's like amazing, and you are the most amazing artist in the world. But I'm sure Jim Lee still has pages he hasn't sold.
I mean, I think what you just said is really important, because like even apart from that, like it's just good good storytelling to like make every page interesting. That was always like I always took that as a fun challenge when like I had a page that was boring. Like, okay, what can we do? How can we like, if it's just people talking, all right, let's not just have them sitting at a table talking back and forth. Like, let's get them up. Let's, what kind of like stage business can I create that's going to make it interesting? I mean, I think, that's what they do in movies and TV. Like, I don't see why comics shouldn't do that. It really, I feel like people really should push beyond just like, big head talking, big head, reverse angle, big head talking, like, anyway, I'm going to start doing that.
I'm dealing with that right now. It's like a sample page that I'm working on for somebody, and they gave me the script, and it's just a conversation page. And it's like, how am I gonna make this more interesting? Other than like, so I'm gonna have to add more details in the background and like make it seem like it's more interesting. And so yeah, that's what I've been dealing with.
Can you talk about
as well?
Can you talk about what the scene is about without violating your NDA?
So no NDA, because it's just a sample page. So I don't sign the NDA until she accepts me.
Gotcha.
For the actual work, which is due later this week. Yeah. So it is. So there's the main character is in like a cell where they're just they're like in a recovery pod, I guess you want to call it. And then there's two other characters talking. There's a scientist guy and the boyfriend husband, and they're just talking about what their plans are throughout the page. Like, oh, how can we get her, help quicker? And then that's kind of like that's the whole page.
Okay. So they're in a little pod, and it's just so basically you're kind of like, all right. Huh. So, like, what would you say, like, the emotional tone of the scene is?
So the husband is like stressed out, and the scientist guy is like, I'm doing everything I can. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and then obviously the husband boyfriend guy is like, how can we do this? You know what I mean? Just I make it a little bit more, trying to make it a little bit more dramatic, than it is. And I should probably pop this up soon. So it's difficult to find that balance and keep the flow going and keep in mind of like where all the bubble's gonna go, because she's got like 18 talking points throughout the whole entire page. So it's like a whole like paragraph, and it's like so and obviously some of that goes back on the writer too, of like, hey, we need to pull back a little bit, or hey, or whatever. This is how many panels will work.
The verboseness, you mean?
Yeah, right. I mean, because obviously you still want to tell the story.
Yeah. Right? Well, so then like the question to me becomes, how can you tell how can you tell some of that visually? Like how could you like make that scene read even if somebody skipped all the word balloons? You know what I mean? Like where's the emotional tone? Like it seems like both those characters are feeling helpless and small, kind of, and like which, could you choose camera angles that really emphasize their helplessness, or have them doing something with their hands that sort of emphasizes how, the futility they're feeling. I don't know. That's just what comes to my head offhand. Anyway, just trying to put stuff in your head.
No, I appreciate it.
The more we do this, the less I have to talk about myself.
Here, I can show you what I've got going right now. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. And then I can add it to the... Let me stop this. Add the screen share. We can pop it up. Brian, you got any questions while I'm grabbing this, boss?
I was going to ask about, because like, I do cartooning as well as like more closely comic standard kind of illustrations. Like I'm working on my comic, and that's more. I have a flair for a certain stylized look for characters in my comic, so it kind of goes a little bit into the cartooning. But I also do like straight on cartoony. I did a children's book, so I had to do like really cartoony looking characters, and I realized like when I was doing stuff for cartoons, how much I had to change my thinking from when I was doing the comics. So can you talk about like what it was like when you were like go from Deathlock, that kind of tone, to like Courage the Cowardly Dog? I mean, to me, it's like a complete different page.
Yeah.
How you have to frame your mind and thinking of like how the lines look, how the characters look, because you can do whatever in Courage.
Right. That's so interesting. Well, actually, kind of no, in a way. I mean, really? Yes and no. I'm glad you asked about this, because that is actually something I can talk on. The first thing was like I kind of had to learn a whole system of how to construct characters that nobody necessarily teaches you in comic books. Most of the people I worked with in animation went to animation school. So like they really learned the trade. Like comic book artists, we just kind of have to figure it out. Like you got your copy of like How to Draw Comics by John Buscema, and or whatever, or like video, YouTube shows like this, but like you kind of have to just find your own way. Whereas in animation, like it's such an assembly line, people really have to be trained into it, and so the first thing adjacent to animation I did was I worked on these Doug picture books, and they had like a supervisor there who like sat me down, again because I hadn't done animation, and he I didn't know the ropes, so he sat me down, and he explained to me in about a half hour how animation characters are constructed, and how how you build them on paper in 3 dimensions, and what am I getting at? So the thing about animation is that it's in some ways it's not really as freewheeling as you might think, because everything has to be so on model, because like so many people are working on a particular thing, and everything has to look legit. So like I would constantly it got really frustrating, honestly, because I wasn't used to that level of feedback, in Marvel at the time, you turn in your page and maybe they'd have a small change here and there, but they mostly just let you do your thing. Whereas in animation, it was very regimented. So like my designs for a long time, all my stuff was getting sent back like covered in notes, and here I'm just doing like some dumb little, duck cartoon. Yeah. But it would come back like, oh, this is wrong. This, you'd have to create a turn, what's called a turnaround, where you front view, 3/4 side, etc. And like the design supervisor would go over that like crazy. There'd just be Post-its all over it, just like the ankle's a little thicker on the rear 3/4 view. The duck bill doesn't look consistent, in between, and like it was, honestly, that was really hard. It was really hard to kind of learn to take that level of feedback. You have to be really philosophical about it, and really, I generally find that people who are kind of native to the animation industry are like some of the nicest, like most collaborative people, because like they're so trained to like have no fucking ego. And sorry for that word.
Oh, you're all right.
Like they're so trained to just, everybody is just pushing in the same direction. And you have to just get used to like taking a ton of criticism and not taking it personally. Like the people that let it get to them and let it make them mad, they never lasted. They were always gone, because you just can't run a production that way. So does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, I mean that's.
Oh, actually, no, it doesn't. I went off on a tangent.
I was going to say it's related, but.
I guess what I would say is, God, I don't know how to directly answer your question. I guess I'm vamping a little bit, but what it makes me think of is like the longer I go on, I think my cartoony style and my comic book style are merging more and more, and I really do think that so many of the same principles apply, I guess is what I'm saying. What I was trying to work my way around to was that like learning all that kind of quality control, and like learning how to like construct characters for animation was something that helped my comic book style stuff immensely.
No doubt.
Yeah, honestly, like it's I really would recommend anybody, like, study the Preston Blair books, or like the any of those kind of classic how-tos in animation, because like it will help your comic books so much to learn those principles, like how to really like solidly construct a figure and keep it consistent, and how to like really keep motion in your figures and stuff, and like it's honestly, I guess what I'm really trying to get at is I feel like the bones are actually very similar, of the those two things. I feel like you really need to learn a lot of the same kind of principles, and then like and also like the storytelling, just to me, I guess it's all just kind of the same thing, wearing different clothes, like the real difference from like drawing like realistic humans and drawing cartoon characters is just a matter of like the nose is bigger or whatever, the proportions are different, but I still construct a figure the same way, no matter what style I'm ultimately doing. I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, no, that's great,
Great.
man. Thank you. Yeah, so when you're doing storyboards for an animation studio, what are you doing? Are you just doing like the story beats for the storyboard,
Mhm.
and then the animators they then connect the dots from A to B to C to D. Okay,
Exactly.
that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, it's right. Exactly. These days, like like when I started, everything was on paper, but these days, like you draw it right into a timeline in this program called Storyboard Pro, and so as you're going, you're like they give you a scratch audio to work from. So as you're going, you're like cutting together this whole little movie. You're basically like
Oh,
drawing into the timeline, and
that's
you're
cool.
timing everything out, like because the software makes it so easy nowadays. So like when you're done with your board, you just hit export and you've got a little movie that everybody can watch that has all the dialogue in and everything, and they can then from there they can start working on it.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay. So
Oh,
so
that's
so
cool.
when you're storyboarding, you're almost not just drawing like singular images. You're actually kind of doing some animation there
a
as
little
well.
bit, a little
That's
bit.
cool.
I mean, as mostly not, but you're thinking you're thinking ahead to it being animated.
Yeah.
Um, um,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it is. I really like doing. My job on Blaze was to kind of do the first pat. Again, like storyboarding in animation is the same as character design. It's like tons and tons of revisions. Everything gets worried over like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny to me that like that was your question. I was like, there, uh, that like actually thinking about it, like animation is like kind of much more rigid, and like comic books are like more freewheeling. Like you can just kind of do your style. You can draw Spider-Man how you think Spider-Man should look, and they're just like, okay. um
Well,
but
I've been told they're very
Yeah.
specific about his butt.
Nice.
Really?
I watched an interview, and I don't remember what it was, but somebody was like drawing Spider-Man, and they kept drawing him, and they would submit the page and what or the design or whatever, and they would say, you know what, we don't like this. Try again, and finally they came through like, all right, you gotta give him a little bit more in the back,
Booty?
and she's like, she's like,
They're like, we have
really?
a very specific audience for
Really?
Spider-Man that we're trying to keep happy.
Spider-Man's got to have a nice ass, apparently.
Wow.
Who would have thought, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to think of those things.
I'm never going to read my Spider-Man comics the same again.
Yeah.
now you're gonna be looking for it. Like, did they draw it? Did they give him good cheeks or what? Oh my goodness. So, anyways, all right. So yeah, here. So let me
Yeah,
add here
okay.
to the thing. So this is what I came up with, and I've started inking. She needs this in the next 4 days, and I'm of course slow as molasses. So, yeah. So like you can see panel one here. You get the whole lab scene. You got
Uh-huh.
you got the character up front, so it kind of establishes like, oh, he's a little bit upset.
Right.
And there's a lot of talking going on in this
Right.
panel. And then you have him. He's like still feeling a little bit helpless because of what this guy said, and this guy, he's like trying to figure it out and seeing what thinking about what they could do, and however. And then there's more talking points that she wanted specifically in this panel. This is actually the only panel she specified.
Mhm.
And then him saying, no, we got to do something, and then like I'm gonna draw some cool like nebula or ink a cool nebula in the background on that. And then him programming where they're going is kind of the direction I went with.
Okay,
So,
cool. Oh, so that was sort of like that was something that wasn't in the script that you kind of came up with.
yeah. She just said, like, oh, he's at a thing, programming something. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe make it like a floating hologram thing. So it's like futuristic, right?
Right.
Because it's a space sci-fi style comic.
Right. Right.
So
Well, you definitely like change your shots up. You're not just doing like the big heads. Like you
yeah.
start with that
So-
two shot, and then you went to kind of an upshot, and then that's funny. I was actually that panel 3. I was actually going to suggest like I wonder if kind of down shots would sort of emphasize the helpless feeling of the characters, and you actually did that.
Yeah, you were saying that, and I'm like, oh, that's great, that's cool. I kind of hit that on the head.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's funny because
And then you made the sorry, you made the character in the pod, like, you made that dominant on the page because that's what everything is kind of revolves around. So that's emotionally right.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Yeah, it's funny because I had some bad experience with my first gig I had, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but
No.
Brian's laughing because he knows all about it. Not slow, James, just particular.
There you go.
What the, so I struggled with this for a while when I was doing the pencil work because I just was like, I almost feel like I didn't have any confidence in myself whatsoever to do this page, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then finally I like had some doodles. I just had a little bit of some doodles on my page here, and I'm like, okay, and you can't really tell what the heck's going on, but I'm trying to figure out how to establish like flow and stuff like that, and whatever. And obviously I adjusted a few things, but so yeah, I mean it was tough. This actually took me way too long, way too long to do.
Because you want it to be as good as it can be.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's a tryout basically for a comic gig, which pays pretty decent. So I'd like to get it.
Yeah.
When you're doing pages and panels and layouts and stuff and whatever, what are your thing? Give us a little bit of your thought process. You kind of gave us a touch a little bit, but
Yeah.
What are you thinking about when you're reading a script and you're converting it into a storyboard?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of what I was suggesting to you is like what always goes through my head is like, and again, like going back to the earlier thing, like I feel like telling a story in like comic book panels, telling story in a storyboard, it's all the same. I feel like it's just a different format. I feel like all the same principles apply. Basically the first thing I think is like what I asked you, like what is the emotional tone? What is what is the scene about? What are we supposed to be feeling? What are the characters feeling that we want to get across? What can they be doing that helps that feeling? I wish I could like pull up a relevant example from a movie or something to tell you what I'm thinking about, but like, yeah, how can we like make it active, even if it's like the quietest scene? Like, can there be something going on? Can there be background elements or foreground elements, just something that just kind of helps communicate what this is about? Like, I always feel like on some level, people should kind of understand what the scene is about, even without reading a word. They should understand, kind of something about the relationship between the characters and who's in control. Who's kind of winning the scene and who's losing the scene.
Yeah, good points.
I always kind of, that's the first thing I think of is like, what are we, where are we going with this? And then like, what sort of lighting and camera angles and stuff will help get that across.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah, and those are all fantastic points, and I think you kind of touched it a little bit, is like, and this is what I kind of started thinking about is like, how would I see this in a movie?
Right.
And how can I make it,
Right.
these are the plot points of that specific scene in the movie, and how can I make that interesting? Like, some movies will even have like, even though you'll see a little bit of the characters talking, but there's like, things happening in the background that you're like, oh, that guy is throwing a frisbee, and whatever. And so you're kind of establishing, oh, they're in a park and
Right.
they're just chatting, and they're having a good conversation, whatever, and it's sunny out and whatever, and all those things like add up to creating that scene and that emotion and that feeling that you're
Right.
feeling in that page. And that's a lot to think about when you're doing a panel, because then even sometimes you'll draw it out and you'll be like, oh, that just doesn't, it's not dark enough, it's not bright enough, there's not enough, oh, we're not even seeing this character who is like, actually important to what's happening, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's a secret, a secret, we want him to keep it, a secret, and for now until it's a reveal, and all those things I think really add up to make that scene.
Right. Yeah. I Oh, I lost it. I had a thought and I lost it. Let's move on.
You're good. You have the same problem I have. I'll be like, my brain will be like, "Woo," and then
Just
gone.
spins off.
Yeah, just gone. It's like a Beyblade. It just zips and then flies away.
I mean, I have to think like that's how storyboarding, and at least in my mind, I've never really done storyboard, but it seems like that's how storyboarding would really help. Your comic work is like, 'cause you're always thinking of like, how do you want to frame that shot if it was a film?
Yeah,
That's how you're setting the tone for your comic panel.
Right. No, I really I couldn't recommend enough like studying like books on cinematography because like those there's rules that are like ironclad in movies and TV and animation that can only help your grasp of storytelling in comics. Like it's you really it I think would be really good for comic book artists to be super versed in like in the whole language of like how a wide shot connects to a close up and how like the whole language of shot reverse shot like the whole motive, the way that like there's a whole thing about like if your camera cuts to something new, it has to be motivated. How does the previous shot somehow motivate that cut, and like there's just all this fascinating stuff. Just a couple books offhand if you're interested. There's a book called The Visual Story that I got a lot out of. There's a book called The 5 C's of Cinematography, and the other big one for me is film directing shot by shot. There's just this whole language that like, again, because like we miss so much as comic book artists because like we're just kind of thrown in and we just kind of have to figure it out as we go. Like building the plane as you're flying it. And with very few exceptions, there's not a lot of like academic environments where you can really learn all this. There's not like a film school for comics. Unless you count like the Joe Kubert School and like SVA's cartooning department. I really think knowing how all that stuff can really, really help your comics. And then, it just becomes a matter of like taking what you would be doing in the storyboard and translating it to a page and figuring out how, that's a whole nother angle, like how to make the panels sit nicely next to each other to create a pleasing design on the page.
Yeah. So when you were doing comics versus when you were doing animations, animations and storyboarding, how different was it for you to like adapt your styles in different ways? Like, did you feel like when you were working on like Deathlock and Punisher and stuff like that, did you feel like it was you were able to do whatever you wanted to do stylized way, and then when you went to animation, it was like, oh well, the lines have to be this specific thickness and blah 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 and stuff like that.
No, it was such a shocker because some of the stuff, just as an example, some of the design stuff I did, or a lot of the design stuff I did on Courage was like what they call dress ups, where like Courage is wearing a funny hat, or he's wearing or he's wearing a particular outfit, or maybe he got stung by bees and he's got bee stings all over his body, and you have to so that was a lot of the stuff because I was like the junior guy. That was a lot of the stuff I would do, and like that was one of the things where like my designs would constantly come back like, you got the wrong number of eyelashes on this character or whatever, or the eyelashes don't taper just exactly the way they're supposed to taper. And we're drawing sorry, I'm going to be such an old man here, but like we're drawing all this stuff not on Cintiqs. We're drawing it on paper with mechanical pencils, and every line's got to be extremely clean. And so like that was like a whole like crazy part of this was like you had to learn to like draw a perfect line with a mechanical pencil, and like I learned to kind of rotate the pencil as I drew it because the shaft of the graphite would start to wear down, and then you start to get a thicker line. And so I learned if I slowly rotated the pencil as I went, then it kept a consistent line. And like if you made like a tiny little mistake,
I think that's an old drafting technique.
That's crazy.
Right? Yep, we learned that. I was taking in high school drafting, and that's what they told us to do. To keep turning your pencil, and it keeps the point sharp. So you can get those nice bold lines.
I just figured that out of desperation, but yeah, there you go. That's so interesting.
So-
I'm glad
so
they're still teaching you that stuff. Yeah.
So they it's funny you say that because now they have pencils that kind of automatically do that for you.
Do they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, there's it's very specific type of pencil, mechanical pencil you have to get, but it rotates, and as it rotates, it actually as you put pressure on it, it'll actually automatically push more lead out for you too. It's super advanced. It's like
So you have to like click.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, like a Kurotogi pencil or something,
Right,
something like
right.
that. It's like a Japanese made by Mitsubishi or something like that, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
I had one once. I don't know where it is anymore. mine broke, but yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I would have never thought to do that, to be honest with you. But I would have just kept sharpening my pencil, or you know what I mean, or breaking it off and starting over or something. You know.
Well, you did the rough. You did the rough with a wooden pencil, and
Yeah.
and then but then like the terrible part was cleanup. Once your rough was approved, you had to clean it up.
Yeah.
And you threw it on a light box, and then you just had a heart attack trying to like get this pencil line absolutely right. And if you messed anything up, you had to like. Well, we had like electric erasers.
I would not go far. I'm so messy. I am so messy, and I
figured out. Anyway, these days they got line smoothing tools and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You see that nowadays with a lot of the digital tools too. Or like it'll automatically straighten the line for you as you draw it, and like.
Yep.
I mean, that's a little cheating. You gotta be a little envious of the technology, right? You're like, oh, geez, I wish I would have had that when I was working, you know. But that's cool, man. That's awesome. Oh my goodness, Brian, you got any more questions before we're gonna head into the quiz afterwards?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, all right, we're gonna start our trivia. You guys ready for this?
Hell yeah!
All right, we got 3 questions. Let's see how we do. Okay, hold on, I gotta actually go into it. We'll do the. All right, we'll start it off with where do Eustace, Muriel, and Courage live? A, Gotham City. C, Scotland. B, the middle of nowhere. Or D, Acme Acres. Chat, do you have any idea where do Eustace, Muriel, and Courage live? I kind of gave you this answer already. I'm just letting you know. We played the intro. I gave you the answer.
Yeah.
Just think back. Let's see. We got any comments? Give it a second for some comments to flood in, guys. Let's see. What do you guys think? Kev, what's your answer?
Oh, come on! I know this one. Oh, somebody answered it.
Oh, hey,
it's
Kelly.
wifey.
Hey, it's Brian's wife. Hello, wifey. How you doing today? She says nowhere, and you would be. Oh, I gotta double click again. You would be correct.
You're the winner.
Oh, it didn't. Reveal answer.
That's
There we
smarty.
go. Oh, I don't like that I can't do both at the same time.
Like mine says Gotham City.
All right, let's see the next one. That's funny. What was Hal Jordan's job before joining the Green Lantern Corps? Was he a police officer, a test pilot, an exotic dancer, or an architect?
Definitely exotic dancer.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going with exotic dancer. What do you guys think?
If it was Spider-Man, it would have been the exotic dancer.
You know, I gotta get that. The Jeopardy sound. Do 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 do. That'd be funny. Let's see what we got. Anybody? Let's see. Kelly says test pilot. Well, you're right on the ball with it. Oh, I didn't change the thing on this. Apparently, it was actually exotic dancer.
Oh, it actually was. God damn.
That's my
Wow. Plot twist.
bad. That's funny. Hold on. That was my fault.
A lot of test pilots in the comic book world, aren't there? Like every like.
Oh
third
yeah,
person.
Miss Marvel also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. There it is. Test pilot. Okay, I fixed it. Sorry about that. Let me make sure this one's right. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, I did that one.
Somebody please tell that artist that there's a bone. There's a bone here.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. All right. What is Courage's catchphrase? Here I come to save the day. It's morphin' time. Spoon or the things I do for love.
Oh man, what a giveaway!
The things I do for love. What do you guys think? Kelly says, been married to Brian too long to get
That's
that
right.
one wrong.
Can't
Was Brian
get Green
a
Lantern.
test pilot?
What's that?
I said, "Oh, was Brian a test pilot?"
She knows I love Green Lantern.
Green Lantern fan. I guess that makes sense. I was like, you know, maybe I'm surprised you did another Green Lantern question for this week, because I'm like, we did it last week. We'll lean into a different character next week. All right, Kelly says the things I do for love. All right, and Kelly, you would be correct.
Kelly, you're on a hot streak.
She's on a hot streak. If I had a reward to give you, I would give it. You won trivia for this week.
There you go.
All right, that was fun. Those are fun to put together. I like doing this. This has been a fun platform. This is something we started doing last week, as I'm sure you saw when you watched, Kev. This is fun. It's something a little bit of fun and exciting. But Brian, you have any questions? Any more questions for Kev?
So I saw that, and you said that you're doing, and I cannot say this word, but caricatures.
Caricatures.
You got the idea. That word, you're doing those,
Yes.
and to me,
God, I hate that word too. I don't
Yeah.
want
to me, they're such a unique brand of art and way of thinking. How do you take a person's face and like exaggerate and push and pull and do something unique to it? Like, how did you? I mean, like what led to that avenue that you went into?
desperation.
And how do you like that compared to the other stuff you've done?
I love it. I've always had a fascination for caricatures. And fun fact about Courage the Cowardly Dog: almost anytime there's like I'm sure I've told you this, James, but almost anytime there's like a crowd of background characters, as the junior guy, that was always my job to design the background characters.
Yeah.
And so I would always just looking around for inspiration, and so like all those characters you ever see in the background are always just caricatures of whoever was in the office that day.
That's
So
cool.
there's a bunch of recurring characters that are literally the receptionist or whoever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did anybody notice and be like,
Oh yeah, no, they all knew.
"Hey,
No, they all knew.
knew.
There was actually there was an episode where Courage went to the dog pound, and literally every dog in the dog pound is like a dog character of somebody in the office. Like, so
That's
that's just always been a fascination for me. When I'm doing it's another like hard art to learn, and it's something you have to fail at for and kind of be shitty at for a while before you start to kind of figure it out. But doing it live, like with the person sitting right there, and like you can't really hold their attention for more like 5 minutes, so you like got to bang it out. You really have to be in the moment. You really have to like learn to trust your instincts, and like you look at like I don't know, I'll look at somebody's face and just ask myself like what's jumping out at me, and I don't do like the crazy like exaggerated character. I try to make people feel nice about themselves.
Okay.
Like not make them feel like monsters. But
That's a fine line. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a fine line sometimes. You're like, should I draw that double chin?
Yeah, chins are a whole thing. I got a whole system for chins. Believe me. But that's a minefield. But yeah, I just I've just kind of learned over time to just look at somebody and get a snapshot and just really, just through practice, you kind of learn to like seize on something, and like and have like look at somebody and quickly have kind of a theory of of them as a cartoon.
That's awesome.
And I guess people going into that have a certain, I don't know, flexibility or something that they like. I mean, no one's going to be like, you hand them the drawing and they're like, "Hey, you exaggerated my nose like that. Why'd you do that?" I mean, I guess no one's like,
yeah.
Why did you make my nose that big? And you're just like, well,
yeah, right. I know. People don't usually say that, but you can kind of tell when somebody's not thrilled with it, like,
oh yeah, when you hand it to them, they're like,
you can tell sometimes the reaction is a little muted, and all right, I didn't make that person happy. But usually I see people's faces like light up, and
that's cool.
But oh my God, I was for the first like couple of years I was doing it, like every time out I was like having a heart attack because I was so scared of like what they were going to think when they saw it.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, dude. I mean, even what you're doing obviously is a lot more in depth when it comes to per person, when you're drawing them. But like, it's the same thing when we're doing like commissions and stuff at shows. It's like, oh God, like right. I hope they like it. Like, oh God, I would hate to give it to them and then them be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that pressure feels terrible, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or you have to learn to thrive on it.
Yeah, and I mean, as artists, we're a little bit of ego machines, right? So we want to feel good about the thing that we created for somebody, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that they like the thing that you spent time on, right? Like, hey, I spent some serious time on this to draw for you, and I really want you to like it.
Oh, completely. Particularly with characters, because it's such an intimate experience.
Yeah.
You're sitting there for like, whatever, 10, 15 minutes with somebody, and and like you're staring at them, and they're staring back at you, and like you're suddenly in this person you've never met before. Suddenly you're in a really intimate space with them, like almost like you're on a date or something, and like like you're staring into each other's souls, and you have to like you have to like kind of you get to know them, and I always encourage when I do caricatures, I encourage people not to just like hold a smile, but like to just talk and move around and do whatever they feel like doing, because I feel like I want to know their personality as much as what their face looks like. Yeah, it's it's crazy. Yeah. But any kind of commission, you're feeling that you're feeling that pressure to, or professional thing, you're feeling that pressure to like, oh God, what if this isn't up to par?
Yeah, for reference for everybody listening at home or wherever you are, I did have Kevin's. I've got 2 pieces by Kevin, one caricature of me and one caricature of my daughter. He did a fantastic job. They're awesome. I can't wait to put them. I still have to frame them. I gotta get a frame for them. But yeah, we got them hanging up in the living room area. I just told the wife to see if she could grab them for me. Yeah, you do a fantastic job, man. So when you're doing shows, like what does your show look like? How many do you usually do on average, if you don't mind me asking?
You mean Comic Cons?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still just kind of a here and there. I'm I'm always trying to get like invited in because I'm cheap, so I'm always trying to get like invited in as a guest, and occasionally somebody I can scam my way into something, but not all. But yeah, no, I don't really have like a fixed thing. I still feel like I'm kind of getting my act together. Honestly, I wasn't really sure what I was doing for a long time, and I didn't have a lot to sell, and when I realized that like, oh, I could take the caricature portrait thing and actually bring that into a Comic-Con thing, and and like draw people's cosplay and stuff like that, then like that kind of lit up bulb up, and so I'm kind of tried to make that my thing.
Yeah, you've almost hit with the caricatures, people as their cosplay characters thing, that like really probably hits it right on the head at shows, because there's so many people like, and I found this is about 80% And this is not to knock cosplayers. I love cosplayers. I think some of these people do fantastic work on their cosplays. But oftentimes they've spent enough money on the show and like something specific that they're doing at the show and their cosplay that they don't have money to spend at shows. But if they're like, hey, that's kind of cool for, X amount of dollars, I can get myself immortalized right now as the character I'm cosplaying. That is fantastic. And that is such a smart business move idea. And I think you keep marketing that, dude, and that'll blow up at a lot of the shows because again, most cosplayers, they don't really have a lot of money to spend, but they're willing to spend money on stuff that's like specifically for them,
That's interesting. That's a really good point. That's really true. That was another thing where like I did it out of desperation because like the first con I ever did was like really poorly attended, and like but like there were cosplayers walking around, and I literally just I was so bored I had a brainwave and I just put out a sign saying I'll draw you in your cosplay, and like I got a commission out of it, so like actually like went home with a little bit of money. And,
are you referring to the one that we attended together? Is that one, or is it a different show?
No, it was a different one. Yeah, no,
okay.
You're talking about the one where I did where I drew you and your daughter.
Yeah.
That was like Buffalo, right?
It was like Elmira area, I think.
Oh,
or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just remember it was the one at the college, and I blocked as much of that. No.
Well, so I mean, don't block too much of it out. That's where we met, right? Like, you know what I mean? So, we're friends for life, hopefully now. Yeah.
That is one nice thing about like even when like a show or a fair or whatever is kind of poorly attended, like you get a chance to like meet all your colleagues,
Yeah. That's what I tell a lot of people this too is perfect. Thank you. All right, so the wifey delivered the caricatures. So so that's something I tell people too is like if you're having a rough show, take it as an opportunity to make new friends or make new acquaintances that might equal more business down the line because too many times people will they'll just sit at their booth twiddling their thumbs and just wait the day out and be like, oh, I'm leaving early. But it's a perfect opportunity to walk the floor and see who's there, go talk to people, hang out, chitty chat with your fellow creators, and make some new connections because it could potentially equal more work down the line. So at least you've gotten something out of a wash of a show, even though financially it sucked. At the end of the day, it hopefully means something. So, all right, so. Here's my caricature for anybody interested. I think you nailed it.
In my defense, I had just met you.
Hey, listen, I can't complain. It was
I
free.
would draw you a little differently now.
All right. Well, you know what? I will give you the opportunity to.
The next time I see you, I'll probably be like, please let me redo that.
And then this is my little stinker of a girl. But no, these are awesome, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, those were fun. Those were a lot of fun to do, and it was despite it being I made no money at that show and lost a lot of money. I got to meet you and Denny and some other guys at the show, so that was pretty cool. And that voice actor guy, I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah, it was really interesting talking to the Star Wars actors that were like the Star Wars puppeters that were there.
There was also the guy who created the original art for Mortal Kombat.
Right.
That was interesting as all that loose too.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of coolness there.
Yeah.
Just it was wasn't advertised well enough, unfortunately, to bring in a crowd, which it happens. There's shows like that.
It happens.
Where was it? Where was they leading into? I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, Brian. What do you got? What do you got for me? Pick up where I'm. My little Beyblade zipped off.
So Kevin, since you dabble in so many different things, what is your wheelhouse? What is your, I guess you're not really wheelhouse, but what is your favorite thing to kind of do? Or what do you want to, what is your next thing that you kind of want to shoot for?
I mean, what I'm trying to do now is honestly, doing prints and stuff to sell at cons is really I feel like for the first time I'm actually like really exploring what or at least for the first time since like my comic book days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm really like trying to find myself as an illustrator, and that's really, really satisfying, you know, to really think like, okay, I've been so oriented toward like client work for so long, you know?
Yeah.
Particularly like every, you know, even in animation, like I was always doing like side work in advertising and stuff. So like, yeah, it's amazing to really sit and think like, what do I, you know, just like given a blank canvas, what do I want to make, you know, and what really interests me. And so yeah, I've been spending the last few years just really trying to like, you know, find my style, like kind of find where I feel like I would have been had I not gotten sidetracked into like, you know, into like having to just do whatever I could to make money.
That darn money, yeah.
That darn money.
Darn money.
Yeah, that courage print you showed is really kind of, you know, is really like that really illustrative kind of thing. I love drawing with a brush, you know. That's just my first love. And so yeah, like I mean the way, you know, back to what you were saying earlier, like that courage thing is like, you know, it's a cartoon character, but I tried to do it illustrative and do some interesting lighting and stuff. And I don't know, I guess I'm just getting back to what we were talking about earlier, where like I just feel like it all, you know, it's all just built from, it's all just building blocks. The same building blocks arranged a little differently.
Yeah.
You know, if you look like somebody like, I don't know, like Greg Capullo, you know, the bones of his characters are animation. You know, like he's constructing characters like animation, and then he just dresses it in a more you know, kind of realistic cladding.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to get that in, but going back to what we were talking about.
Kelly says, "Totally agree. I believe you know where a conversation will lead."
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, dude, that's cool, man. There was something I wanted to ask, and yeah, what's do you have any plans, I guess, going forward? Do you plan on, are you just kind of, is it kind of you're going to see where the road leads, or is it more of a, hey, I have X, Y, and Z that I'm planning ahead of time, and I can't talk about it right now, or
Oh, God.
more storyboarding for other companies, or are you just enjoying exploring you and what you're creating and stuff, and selling them at shows? Is that kind of where you see yourself?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this can work. No, I don't have a.
No, hey, that's cool, man.
But like I said, like I am having so much fun, like trying to kind of really figure myself out as an artist, you know, and so yeah, and I also really like the whole thing of like doing shows and fairs and stuff like that, and like interfacing with people. You know, my favorite thing as a commercial artist was always the clients, and you know, working with the clients and like kind of getting in their heads and figuring out where they wanted, you know, where they wanted the work to go, and you know, and like especially like getting that moment where they see it and it's everything they could have wanted, you know, and they light up, you know. So like, if anything, you get more of that when you're like working directly with the public, you know, like I get that little hit of dopamine like every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a way, I'm really, really enjoying this. I hope I can make it work. It's you know, you struggle with like the business side of things, but I feel like I'm, you know, I have something valid, and I feel like it's something that can kind of be mine, and you know, I really just want to make it work, you know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. I mean, it sounds like, I mean, you've got things planned. You're doing shows, and I mean, you're making it happen, which is awesome. And I love seeing you at shows. I like chatting with you, so that's good. Hopefully, I continue to see you at more shows. And as long as you're having fun with it, dude, I think, like, you know, obviously the business side thing has to kind of come first because of, you know, money. But
but I mean, the business side is hard right now. I'll just be honest with you. The animation industry is in the bucket right now.
It's so tough, and like you
even
know, with AI and stuff, like, and
like yeah, and then like everything kind of got difficult for me at once because like the advertising business, as soon as Midjourney came on the scene, they were just like,
Oh.
oh,
Yeah, so the AI all directly impacted you. They were like, "Hey, we don't
seriously.
need you anymore. We can just use AI and promote this stuff."
Yeah, exactly. Like, because what I was doing was concept sketching largely, and
Mm.
like my role in that was when like an ad agency was trying to sell an idea through, basically they would hire an illustrator to just do like sketches, like in
Yeah,
the old days it was like with markers or whatever,
yeah,
but you're basically just like you're a hired hand just to help visualize, what a creative director has in their head that they want to try to sell to the client, like if they're trying to get
yeah,
the Nestle account or whatever, and
yeah,
and so yeah, like there's a lot of things AI can't do, but it was amazing for replacing what I did.
yeah.
Right.
That sucks. Yeah, yeah, that really sucks.
So yeah, it's things are weird right now in a lot of ways.
Wow. So how do you feel about AI after that? You feeling
Oh
like super? Are you super anti AI? Are you? You don't have to answer either. I
no,
know
no,
people are like,
no, I despise, I hate it. Maybe it's
yeah,
where everything is going, but I've always been the guy who like held out to the
yeah,
last minute on any kind of new tech. Like it took me
yeah,
forever to like learn Photoshop, until I had to wait till it became absolutely obvious that there was no going forward without it.
yeah,
And then I embraced it. But
yeah,
I'm always that guy who just like is just like, no, I like my pencil and I like my
Yeah.
when,
yes,
when they here's a funny story. Maybe it's funny. I used to work on a show called Word World at PBS, and that was the first job I had where we were supposed to work on Cintiqs, like on digital tablets,
yeah.
and they were phasing out like pencil and paper,
Oh wow.
and
That's weird.
I started like bringing my own pencils and papers in. And I was like, look, I'll draw on paper, I'll just scan it, it'll be fine. And like the director got so frustrated with me. He was finally just like, he had to like take the paper away from me, and he was like, look, use this thing for 2 weeks. Because if you hate it after 2 weeks, fine, you can have your pencils and papers back. And that was the 2 weeks was what it took me to get used to using it. But that's like I said all that to say, just like I'm always like tremendously resistant to any,
Yeah,
like I need the technology to prove itself to me before I'll even touch it. So like
yeah,
and like I just resent AI. Like no
yeah,
offense to
yeah.
any of my friends who use it, but I resent the hell out of it, and I'm going to be the absolute last person on planet Earth to start using it.
Yes, yeah. I'm just happy it's still awful at telling a story.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I just saw a
It's
thing today about there was somebody who was trying to do a Pixar style movie with AI, and they were bragging that they were going to have it done in like 6 months or something, uh, and then but they were being like incubated at I forget, like OpenAI or somewhere.
yeah,
And OpenAI killed their Suno video generator because it was costing them too much money. So
Mm.
that killed the project. So now they're trying to look around for another studio. But like, uh, yeah, it's
yeah.
it,
It seems weird, right? A lot of these, and like in the same vein of advertising, like Coca-Cola is doing their AI commercials now with like the Christmas commercial, and they're like, well, we spent $500,000 on this AI video and it was awful. And it's like, well, $500,000 could have gone to an actual studio where they made an actual product for you versus this awful thing that you just you paid for a computer usage. It's so weird, and at some point we're going to talk about AI on the show, I think, and kind
Yeah.
of break it down and get some numbers and do a little bit of a deep dive. But for now, we can just say AI sucks. Don't support it if you can avoid supporting it. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that impacted you in that way.
It's just what it is. It's just
Yeah,
it's just life. I don't know. I had a really good run in advertising for about 20 years, and
yeah.
I really can't complain. But
So now, so I'll ask you a sort of a follow up question, and then we can drop the AI thing. Follow up question is do you feel like AI is going to replace the storyboarding part of
mm,
animation?
mm.
You think so?
Oh, no, I'm just I'm just acknowledging what you said.
Yeah. You're good.
No, I'm still skeptical. I don't. I mean, I have a very vested interest in like hoping that they go back to using humans. But like you guys said, I think Brian said like that. Actually, I'm not sure which one you said. That it still kind of can tell a story. You know, it's, yeah, like I think we're in this position where like the studios are really hoping that's where it's going to go, and
Right.
I feel like the whole industry is kind of holding its breath to see which way the cards fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't think through. Like you see it, like people are always posting those things like, "Oh, my AI just put Hollywood out of business with this." I made a Batman, 30, whatever, a 30-second Batman clip, and it's
and Warner Brothers was on that like fire.
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh, that's not happening. Goodbye."
Yeah, exactly. But you can see immediately that like it doesn't really think through. All that storyboard, all that like cinematic storytelling stuff I was telling you. Like it's just I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. It's not really thinking through the logic of a scene. I think we're a long way from like large language models to really be able to like figure out the emotion of a scene and how to convey it.
Right. And it's all it's really doing is it's taking what it's learned before and trying to reapply it. They're like, oh well, I've learned this in 7 different ways from 7 different things, and here's what I'll spit out at you. Maybe you don't like the original, I'll respit it out at you in a different jumblation or whatever, so yeah, and I think a lot of it is we don't know where it's going to go, and what it means for human creativity doesn't look good. Doesn't look
like
good.
creativity, and also just like the capacity of the audience to to absorb creative work. Like when everybody's like constantly marinating in like just tons of this like artificially generated content. Like, are they even going to still have the capacity to like sit and watch a movie? Like, are they going to? Are we just going to take like Are we just going to take like creative content so for granted because there's so much of it that like it's just going to devalue the whole idea? Or are we gonna? Are people gonna go at some point go back harder into human created content? Because like I think like part of art is that you want to feel like there's a person in there that you're connecting to. You want to feel like you're somehow connected to a human soul, in the work. It's not just about the output. It's about that you're feeling the person in there, or you want to feel like you're feeling a person in there.
Yeah. I think we're in a weird place where it's like the louder the technology and the proponents for it yell about how great it is, we also had like this equal resonance from the people who are talking like you, that like they value art, they value the process, they value like they want to know like what was going on with the artist as they were creating it, and like what inspired, what's the emotion. So we have like this kind of counterbalance of like the more that screams about like it's so great, we don't need all these people, then we have all these other creatives that are coming along saying, let's really value the human element much more. So it's like in this awkward spot, like to see which one's going to win out.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I think we're in a weird spot right now, and then there's people who are obviously like, oh, it looks cool, it sounds cool, whatever. Who cares? And then there's people who are like, it's trash, and it's emotionally unintelligent. There's nothing there. It's soulless. Blah blah blah, and so. We'll see what happens. I think.
Have you guys I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Have you guys I feel like I was kind of, at first I was kind of, in spite of myself, fascinated by it, and then like now I get like an ick feeling when I look at it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm just projecting this, but there's just something about it that grosses me out, and I've never been able to put my finger on it. Like it almost has a smell to it that I can't define.
Well, so I think what helped there was all the amount of content that people were pushing out of like, what's his face eating spaghetti and being all gross, and then it was like a hot dog walking down the hallway, and then slipping out of its bun, and like just the amount of gross content that came out of it originally, I think helped that a lot.
It is kind of a body horror machine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
If just some little thing goes wrong, suddenly it's
yeah, and you're like, oh god, the guy's finger moved weird.
yeah.
So
it's not even the things you can spot consciously. There's things that you spot subconsciously that throw you off, even if you don't know what it is.
Well, we talk about that a lot in art. Is like your brain is programmed to recognize proportions and things like that, because if it's not proportional, your brain thinks that's weird, I don't like it, right? So that's exactly what it is, and an AI can't mimic that because it's not a human brain, it's not, you know what I mean, it's just regurgitating things, and sometimes it doesn't regurgitate it right, and so I think I don't know, if they had kept it more closed source, we would see more actual stuff come out of it that was like, actual, and maybe people wouldn't be so grossed out by it. But I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Like they're like, scrolling through Facebook feeds, and you're like, AI, AI, yeah, swipe. And then there's the proponent of being constantly tricked by people who are posting these AI videos that look like they're realistic or security footage, and then you're like, that's stuff AI, dude. That's
right.
And then you're like, and now you can't believe anything you see on the internet because everything can be AI. You know what I mean? An alien ship could show up tomorrow for real in real life, and we would just all think that it was AI.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's
we're finally here. No one's fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I can see with my own eyes and be like, man, this AI's kind of hands. Must be some VR tech. You know what I mean? It's crazy, and I don't know. It's like it's the biggest propaganda machine that we've ever seen in history. I think, honestly, it's crazy. But but
it doesn't say good things when like all the uses for it you can think of are evil.
Right. And the only people that are interested in continuing it is the people who are making money at it. Everybody else is like, who cares?
Or who think they're gonna get rich off it.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm gonna write 10 novels in an afternoon.
Right, yeah, and then, none of it makes sense. Right, well, Kevin, dude, we're about to wrap up. Brian, do you have any last questions before we wrap up?
No, Kev? I don't think so.
All right. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and hanging out. Maybe we'll have you on again sometime soon. If you ever want to pop on, let me know. I'll send you an invite. It's always open. Where can everybody find you? Where do you want everybody to go?
I'm Kevin Metal at Instagram, KEVIEMETIO.
All right, I'll make sure that is linked. I'll put it in the comments here to Kevin Metal. Oop, perfect. All right, so if you head over to Instagram, search up Kevin Metal, give Kevin a follow. If you want to talk about Courage the Cowardly Dog, I'm sure he'll talk your ear off about it, right?
What gave you that impression?
Thanks again for popping on, chitty chatting with us, sharing your insight. Yeah, absolutely, man. And hopefully you have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk again soon, dude.
Take care, guys.
All right, peace out.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
See ya.